Yo, what's good, everyone? This is Nathan Cross checking in with another episode of Healthline, and today's episode is going to be focused on muscle cramping. Muscle cramping occurs when the normal mechanism controlling our muscle relaxation and contraction process becomes temporarily impaired. Muscle cramps can last anywhere between a few seconds to actually a couple minutes, and even after muscle cramps do end, they actually can reoccur in that place or throughout that general area and result in quite a bit of soreness. But you see, the crux of the issue is that even scientists agree that there are so many confounding variables affecting the onset of true cramps. And when I say true cramps, I mean the ones I'm talking about, those associated with vigorous exercise. And this is why for so long, discussion of fatigue, dehydration, or even electrolyte imbalances have sort of placed a lot of emphasis on reducing the excitability of our muscles through things like conditioning and nutrition to reduce the onset reduce the excitability of our muscles. And this excitability just means reducing essentially the oversensitivity or reactiveness to outer stimuli, this stimuli being things that are going to be causing most likely our muscle cramps. Now, the one thing that I do believe with 100% confidence is that muscle cramping has a tendency to strike towards the later phases or towards the end of high intensity or prolonged exercises. And this really should indicate that things like muscle fatigue and unaccustomed types of tiredness are really huge causes to this. And when I really say unaccustomed type of fatigue, I'm really referring to the fact that we can train at a certain level of intensity, but when it comes to something like running a marathon, running a 800 meter or 1500 meter or a steeplechase, or even some other type of training where you're going for an extended period of time, that versus the actual event, it's going to be requiring a different level of intensity. And the unfortunate thing about this whole subject is that there really isn't enough data out there from published studies to suggest what works best to combat muscle cramping. You see, one of the things that I found is, interestingly enough, altered hydration status didn't actually have a statistically significant enough of an association with the onset of muscle cramps. However, other studies have found that certain drinks out there, a lot of sports drinks, with their electrolyte concentration, so can actually help in reducing the onset of muscle cramping, but don't do the best job in reducing the occurrence of muscle cramps altogether. So yes, losing an abundance of bodily fluids can contribute to the occurrence of muscle cramping, but that's not always going to be the primary cause, which definitely draws a lot of questions still. What I do find to be noteworthy is that other researchers have tried to identify the causes and risk factors, especially among endurance-based athletes. And the risk of muscle cramping was actually associated with training at an unusually high intensity level, having a sort of history of injuries in the lower extremities, or themselves having a history of muscle cramping or family history of muscle cramping. Now, when we think about prevention, again, that would be a hard formula to apply for everyone. But here are some top tips to help minimize the onset of muscle cramps. The first thing you might want to do is start off with putting yourself on a regular stretching program to help target those muscles in particular that are most prone to cramping. This can help to lengthen your muscle fibers quite a bit and increase your general muscle relaxation. The second thing is to try to build your training intensity gradually. If you're not used to a certain level of intensity in your workouts, try to build your way up to it. Maybe reduce the time frame, maybe reduce the amount of reps and sets that of which you're participating in. Just try to do something to build your way up to that high intensity event that you're going to be participating in ultimately. As for the last thing, try to gradually increase your intake of carbohydrate, electrolyte mixed drinks during especially elongated training sessions. Also, make sure to have a decent concentration of that during your post-recovery meal. Alright y'all, so that's the video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. If you have any questions or concerns in general, make sure to subscribe for the next video, and I will see you guys next time. Nathan Cross, checking out. Peace.